Sit down.
I'm Mrs. Kara Anderson, and this is what happens when I don't differentiate for my behaviorally challenged students. I teach English at Grayson County High School in Litchfield, Kentucky, and we were voted one of the best high schools in the nation according to U.S. News. By definition, 6 out of 28 of my students every year are behaviorally challenged. These are the students who just can't focus, take lots of naps, are hyper, and throw things. When you have kids like that in a class, if you don't differentiate for them, nobody learns. And your class ends up looking like this. Even though I do look really funny in this picture, the reasons behind students' misbehavior are far from a laughing matter. One of the most common reasons that students are hyper and act out in class is ADHD, but there are other reasons as well, like poverty. Students are bullied and abused at home. Some students who are gifted actually need to be challenged more, and then of course you have students with learning disabilities and they give up easily because they just don't get what they're learning. These students are at high risk of being high school dropouts, and those who do graduate don't meet their educational potential, partially because we, their teachers, sent them to detention instead of first attempting to differentiate our instruction for our behaviorally challenged students. Over the last couple years, my school has taken a differentiated approach when it comes to educating behaviorally challenged students. One of the changes we've made to meet this goal is integrating the Jostens Renaissance program into our school-wide curriculum. It gives us a platform to recognize and reward students for good behavior. Even though this is a positive program for not just behaviorally challenged students, we have customized some of the recognition categories to target those who maybe had poor behavior and improved their behavior over the course of a trimester or even over the year. We have Students of the Month every month, and the criteria to be Student of the Month changes every month. So, for example, we may be asked to pick a student who's made an effort to blurt out less. And it's simply a little more of an incentive for those students to behave a little bit better than maybe they usually do. The prizes are awesome. You could even win a season pass to the aquatic center here in our town, which is awesome and expensive. I really have a heart for those students who can't sit still, because I was one of those students. And so my philosophy of differentiation revolves around something called the optimal stimulation theory.
So the optimal arousal theory says that our motivation levels are influenced by whether we are aroused to an optimal level. So we're excited or kind of able to experience this kind of flow level of arousal. And each of us has a different level. So let's say this is my optimal level of arousal right in this little zone here. Up here, things are too much. Down here, things are too little. But in the middle here, it's just right. If things fall into this zone here, I'm going to be optimally aroused, I'm going to be more motivated. If it's down here, I'm going to get bored, lose my motivation. If it's up here, I'm going to get overwhelmed and be frustrated. Again, each of us has a different optimal arousal level, so it could vary from individual to individual, but it's up to that leader to figure out where every person's needs are and where they're best motivated.
As the guy said, every student's different, so it's difficult when you're doing whole class instruction to differentiate sometimes for the behaviorally challenged, because you don't want to overstimulate the ones who don't need that extra stimulation.
Woward! Everyone say woward! 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 Everyone say woward! Woward! Woward!
Meow.
What does woward mean?
Glare.
Jesse, what does woward mean?
Glared, stared at angrily.
Glower means to glare or stare at angrily at you. Growl. I'm growling at you right now. Like one of the principals is walking, you can be like, damn, Mr. Johnson.
Get over the door.
You're gonna forget about that you're talking like that, and you're gonna be like, oh, he walked in here. I said, Mr. Johnson, how you doing today? You had to deal with any growling? Have you growled at anyone today?
Miss Wilson.
He growls a lot.
Set her on. It's how you doing.
How you doing?
There you go.
How you doing? Say amen. Amen. Growling. So we know that growling is when you glare at someone like I just glared at you.
I'm going to remember that word.
What I really love about this vocabulary lesson is knowing that the student videotaping and the student telling me how to properly say "How you doing" were students who tended to sleep in class. So if I were delivering a normal vocabulary lesson, those students wouldn't have been engaged. I call my behaviorally challenged students who need a little extra stimulation my lizard kids. Because not every lesson can be as strange as that vocabulary lesson, I distribute rubber lizards to certain students so they can be subtly stimulated during class. And they totally work.
By giving your brain a mindless activity, like a fidget toy to play with, you're saying, hey, floating attention, I see you and I'm gonna give you a job. This is your job. The truth is, a lot of the things that we use to fidget are really distracting to other people. So our job is to find fidget toys that work for us and don't distract anybody else. You want to use a sense that you're not using in your primary task. If you're studying, it might be helpful to listen to music. If you're watching TV, it might be helpful to fidget with something with your hands.
And if you're nodding off in Miss Anderson's class, you'll be given a rubber lizard and you'll magically stay awake. In conclusion, each of our students deserves for us to take their specific needs into consideration, especially those who, for years, have been labeled and written off as lazy, hopeless punks with an attitude. When I have these students in my class, I need to remember that there's an underlying reason for why they decided to Snapchat that video of me as a pig. Maybe it's because I didn't try to understand them and accommodate their unique and charismatic needs. Maybe I should have just given them a rubber lizard.